Bo Nix, a quarterback who was drafted because he was pro-ready. He could win. He could go out there and play every single game. And hey, he got the Broncos to the playoffs last year. Maybe there's something there. And the Broncos are 8-2 this year. Man, this Broncos team, did they find their quarterback? I don't think so. And that's really where I'm at with this team is their team very good. But the big question at quarterback, and I really cannot look past it, has me question this team for the long-term future. And we're going to discuss that today and why I ultimately think the Broncos are a little bit of fool's gold because their quarterback play is so abysmal. It's hard to overcome that when you get to the playoffs, when you go against these really good teams. Because let's not forget, the Broncos have played 3 teams that are over 500 this year. They're 1-2 in those games. It has not been pretty, and it's probably not going to be a pretty end to the season for them. Now, to discuss Bo Nix, I think it's important to go back to the 2024 season. Bo Nix helped get the Broncos to the playoffs. There's no doubt about that. But there is one thing when you look over the teams he played against where he played really well versus when he didn't. And that's the teams who finished season over 500. Real quick, comment below. Do you know how many teams he beat that were over 500 last year? Do you? The answer is 2. He beat the Buccaneers and he beat the Chiefs. And notably, the Week 18 game against the Chiefs played all their backups. That was a game they really weren't that interested in playing. They knew what their playoff seeding was. So they let their backups play, and Broncos dominated. They also beat the Bucs, and that's a pretty good win. But what about those other over 500 teams they played? Well, let's look at it. Seattle, loss. Pittsburgh, loss. Chargers, loss. Ravens, loss. Chiefs, loss. Chargers, loss. Bengals, loss. They weren't good against teams that were over 500 last year. And that's something that really came to my eye when I looked over them this past offseason when predicting how they would do. Now, we can look at 2025. In 2025, they played a grand total of 3 teams who are currently over 500. The Colts, loss. The Chargers, loss. The Eagles, win. And that's really where I'm at, is these teams that are over 500, they don't beat. But they can beat up on the teams that they're supposed to beat. The Titans this year, one of the worst teams in the NFL. They beat 20-12. The Bengals, when they were starting Jake Browning, they beat 28-3. The Eagles, as I mentioned already, they won 21-17 in a game that didn't feel like the Broncos really won that when you watched it back. Then you got the Jets, 13-11, in a game that you probably should have lost. The Giants, a game the Broncos offense put up points. 33-32, and let's be honest, the only reason the Broncos won that game was because the Giants kicker couldn't make a kick, and they also had a insane fourth quarter collapse. Then we look at the Cowboys, maybe their best game of the season. They won 44-24. The Cowboys defense has bombed the barrel, so it's hard to really judge how effective they are. And you also look at the fact the Cowboys have lost to some bad teams already this year. Then you look at the Texans. Well, the Texans, they got C.J. Stroud. Oh, wait, he left the game with concussion, and you had to come back again in the fourth quarter to win it. And then lastly, as the time of this recording, they last played the Raiders, in which they won 10-7, and the game was honestly dreadful to watch because the offense for the Broncos was so bad. Now, how has it got to this point? How has Bo Nix really got to this point that you got to question if he's a starter long-term for the Broncos or even to finish out this season? Well, let's discuss his issues. Now, one of the most important stats for a quarterback is their on-target percentage versus off-target percentage. And Bo Nix on throws over 10 yards is not on target. He has a rate of 39% of off-target throws, which is 32nd among quarterbacks in the NFL. And here's the thing. It doesn't get better with a clean pocket, because it's only 37% of the time, which is also 32nd in the NFL. Bo Nix has been very inaccurate. He's been very, almost a little loosey-goosey with it. His footwork is just not there anymore. He doesn't seem as confident, and he's kind of rushing throws. He's putting balls in bad spots. And I think a big reason as to why is he's struggling with zone coverage. One thing I said very early on with the Broncos and Bo Nix was he's going to be easy to adapt to. Teams are going to figure out how to play him very quickly. Now, why is that? They're not afraid of Bo Nix's traits. Bo Nix has a very average to maybe even below average arm. His accuracy can be good at times, but also it disappears on a moment's notice. He's not this amazing quarterback prospect that a lot of people tout him out to be. To me, he was always a quarterback prospect that should have been drafted on day 3. Why? Because his biggest trait was he played a lot in college. I always have a number one rule. If you've played a lot in college, it means you weren't good enough to go to the pros. And I think that's the case with Bo Nix. Now, he had an amazing senior year, which resulted in him being a high pick for the Denver Broncos. But we're also currently looking at Bo Nix right now, and he's been countered. Teams have figured him out. It reminds me a lot of Kenny Pickett with the Pittsburgh Steelers, another guy who was playing in college for a long time and didn't get into the league until he finally had an amazing senior year that a team took him in the first round. With Bo Nix, he is countered by playing the short game. His arm, like I said, it's not amazing. You don't really have to worry about him beating you deep over the top. He's off target on deep throws. So with what you do is you just play zone coverage and you play up front and you say, I dare you to beat us deep. And he can't. Bo Nix has really, really bad overthrows deep downfield. It's very noticeable when you watch his film. It's very noticeable when you just watch a game live. It happens all the time. And this isn't like an Anthony Richardson, who also still not doing too well, but he's so young, he's so raw that you maybe just give him time. That's not the case with Bo Nix. Bo Nix was an older rookie quarterback. He is going to be closer to 30 than he is 25 when his rookie contract expires. That is something that a lot of teams probably aren't a fan of. And listen, he was drafted because Sean Payton needed a quarterback after getting rid of Russell Wilson. He was drafted so high out of necessity for Sean Payton to keep his job pretty much long term. Because the Walton family doesn't care. They would fire Sean Payton. They have more than enough money to pay the buyout and go hire a brand new coach. But Sean Payton needed a guy who is very cerebral, which Bo Nix is, and can really try to man his offense. And Sean Payton saw a lot of success with Drew Brees. He saw a lot of success with the short game, quick game. But here's the thing, even Drew Brees, the end of his career, could occasionally hit the deep shot. It wasn't pretty, but it would happen. That's not happening in Denver unless a team is just completely out to lunch, getting beat deep all the time with these Broncos wide receivers. And that's the point we're at, is how much of this is now going to be on Sean Payton picked the wrong guy, he didn't develop him properly, or everyone just misunderstood what made Bo Nix good in college can't be translated to the pros. Now, before a lot of people really come on here and really don't understand what the point of this Bo Nix conversation is, we have some other stats to talk about. And that's overall his production for average yards per attempt and his sack percentage. And I'm going to read off some of the names he's on a list with for just how little of yards per attempt he has. Matt McLaurin, Nick Foles, Bo Nix, Steve McNair, Sage Rosenfels, Jim Miller, Matt Barkley, Ryan Mallett, Kerry Collins, and Joey Harrington twice. Now, what is that? Average yards per attempt with sack percentage under 3%. It's so low because the Broncos have to get the ball out quickly for Bo Nix. Why? Because his traits, like I said, aren't good enough to really throw the ball downfield. They are having to coach him in such a simplistic way because he just doesn't have the ability to be that game changer at the NFL level that it ultimately hurts the Broncos offense. Let's compare Bo Nix to a quarterback that everyone would consider struggling this year, Justin Fields. Now, let's look at the success percentage per play. One player is at 44%, the other is at 40.5%. 44% is Justin Fields, 40.5% is Bo Nix. ADOT. Who's got the better ADOT? One's at 6.95, the other's at 8.34. Bo Nix has the 8.34. Completion percentage. One's at 63.4, the other is at 60.8. 63 would be Justin Fields. Passing yards. Hey, I think this is obvious. One is a little bit over 1,000, a little bit over 1,100. It's still climbing up there. And the other is at 2,100. I think it's a little obvious who's who. Bo Nix is 2,100. Time to throw. One is 2.7. The other is 2.59. 2.59 is Bo. 2.7 is Justin. Now, listen, the passing yards be damned because really, really, really bad. There's not much of a difference there between Bo Nix and Justin Fields. Justin Fields has a higher success rate than Bo Nix. Think about that. Think about how dreadful Justin Fields has looked this year. He has been unable to push the ball downfield. Pretty much most of their passing game right now is screens, dump-offs, hoping their guys make plays. But yet he still has a higher success rate than Bo Nix. So if we swap those two quarterbacks, are the records the same? Are they in the exact same spot? Are maybe the Broncos a little bit worse, the Jets a little bit better? Or the Jets a little bit worse and the Broncos are a little bit better? This is all hypothetical, so it's hard to exactly say. But it is pretty damning that everyone has considered Justin Fields to have a beyond awful season, and yet the quarterback that a lot of a fan base is hyping up isn't performing better that much on paper. And that's a very questionable thing when we look at how the fact that the Broncos want to contend, but their quarterback play has just been so abysmal. It may not give them the chance. That's going to wrap up today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, hit that like button if you're new to the channel. Hit that subscribe button. If you disagree with me, go down in the comment section. I love to read everyone's opinion. It's the beauty about sports. Everyone's got a different opinion. It's amazing. It's why I love covering the NFL mainly because I am a big football fan, but just sports in general. It's fun to see everyone's different viewpoints. If you disagree with me, tell me I'm an idiot. I can handle it. I'm a big boy. And I also want to hear, if you're a Broncos fan, how do you think you guys close down the season stretch? Because I'm very wary of it with how many over 500 teams you play. Bo Nix historically has not won against 500 teams, and it's very interesting to see how that's going to do down the stretch. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd share this, I'd appreciate it. Have a great day, everyone, and stay tuned for more content.